Do you ever look at someone and think, you're an idiot? Or you're in the middle of a conversation with someone where you believe you're being super clear and concise with your message, yet their eyes are glazed and they've got a confused look? Well, that isn't uncommon, because each of us communicates in a different way. What I'm going to share with you today will help you better understand yourself, but also understand those around you and how they interact. But first, you need to have enough humility to develop your own self-awareness. My name is James Humphrey Stone. I'm the co-founder of the Elite Agent Masterclass, and for the last 2 consecutive years, I've earned well over £100,000 as a self-employed estate agent. The Elite Agent Masterclass exists to take you behind the scenes so that you can understand the frameworks, the processes and the systems so that you can do exactly the same. So what is self-awareness? It's the conscious knowledge of one's own character and feelings. The process of developing self-awareness can be painful, but it leads to building stronger relationships and personal fulfillment. What I'm going to share with you today is known as the DISC profile assessment. The way it works is you answer a series of questions, but there isn't a pass or a fail to the way in which it's done. It's simply words on a screen that you either are more like or less like. You cannot trick the system. It gives you then an assessment as to how you sit on the DISC profile. So let me share the DISC profile with you. First up, we have the quadrant designed in this format: D in the top corner, I below it, S and C. A little experiment that you can do to determine where you sit on the DISC profile. We will go into it in more detail. This is just a little fun side activity that we're going to run. So first up, you've got to decide, are you more drawn to working with people, or would you prefer to work on tasks? It's important to remember for both of the questions, you only need to be 51% sure of your answer to determine which way you go. If you're more people oriented, then you're going to come down. If you are more task oriented, then you're going to go up based on the framework behind me. The next question is, are you more drawn to risk, or are you preferring to move away from risk? If you're more drawn to risk, you'll move this way. If you're more risk adverse, you'll move this way. Personally, I'm people, so that means that I'm going to the bottom of the grid, and I'm more drawn to risk than I am risk adverse. So based on that experiment, I'm an I profile, which, when I do the DISC profiling, is true of me as a person. Now let me explain the DISC profile in more detail. First up, we have D in the top corner. Now, a D profile, they want the power to act. So if you're someone that likes to be in control of your destiny, that wants to have the autonomy to deliver on what it is that you want to do, there's a probability that you fall into the D profile. D profile people also fear failure. They strive for results, they're daring, decisive, direct, driven, and they have an attitude to change that says, bring it on. Most likely to say, let's fucking do it. The I profile wants recognition, they fear rejection, they want to shine. They're imaginative, influential, inspiring. Their attitude to change is, this is a chance for me to shine. They're most likely to say, how can I influence others so that they have a better experience? Then as we move across, we have the S profile. If you fall into the S profile, then you're highly likely to want to be secure. You want security. You fear insecurity. Makes perfect sense. You need certainty. You're sincere, you're selfless, you're sympathetic. Your attitude to change is, oh no, it's unfamiliar. You're most likely to say, how can I make sure everyone else is happy? The C profile, they want process, they fear conflict, they're cautious, they're critical, they're contemplative, and they're consistent. Their attitude to change is, why would you change without thoroughly assessing the risks? And they're most likely to say, why is everyone so stupid? Remember at the beginning, someone looks at you, or you look at them rather, and say, why are you so stupid? Highly likely that's a C profile person, right? And so when you do the DISC profile analysis, it gives you a long report and it tells you about what your outer self is, what your inner self, and how the two blend. So the outer self is how you want to present yourself outwardly to those that you come into contact with. You can then have your inner self, which is your true being, who you are at your core. Now, we've done hundreds, I would say now, of these profiles when we're interacting with potential partners for our self-employed brokerage, and there's only 1 or 2 people that I've come into contact with whose outer and inner profile are perfectly aligned. That means that they are perfectly at one with who they are. They're very comfortable with how they articulate their message and who they are as a human being. But quite often the disc profile has a very different outer to inner, and it will have a heightened area dependent on your mood. I've done disc profiles in the past. I've done several over the last few years, and dependent on different stages in my life, different stresses, different pressures will determine where I fall on the disc profile. So personally, my profile comes out that I'm a very, very high I, followed by a strong D, low S, and next to no C. Like, for me, I'm not particularly cautious. I wouldn't say I'm an overly critical person. I'm not that contemplative. And truth be told, am I overly consistent? Probably not. But when it comes to this side, I like to shine. I am imaginative. I like to be able to inspire. I want to create environments where I can help everybody have a better experience. It's very true of my natural profile. But when I'm under pressure and I'm stressed, my D profile becomes heightened. And I've done these tests before where my D profile is very high, and it's at a time when I've been under a lot of pressure, predating what I do now. I absolutely love what I'm doing. So it's really interesting because it helps you better understand yourself. But as you start to then develop that understanding, I now communicate with people around me and I'm thinking, okay, so where do you likely fall on the disc profile? Because it helps me understand how to deliver a message to that person and how to communicate with them. Whether that's a colleague, whether it's a partner, whether it's someone that I'm coaching through the team network, or whether it's a client that I'm helping sell their house. Understanding the disc profile helps me better communicate my message. In future videos, we're going to connect the disc profile to the way in which we use our left and our right brains. And that is fascinating when you connect the 2 dots. If you've liked what I've shared with you today, you won't want to miss future episodes of the Elite Agent Masterclass. Make sure you've liked and subscribed.